Welcome back to the Not So Perfect podcast.
I am Matt Chen with always Mr. Gerardo Cornejo.
We are here today. It's been a while.
Yep.
It's been a while, but
Had some trials and tribulations in the last couple weeks, so we've been kind of trying to make sure we got the right approach to today's pod because we got a specific message we're wanting to push.
one of our biggest, one that was watched, was watched the most was our suicide episode. And in the last 2 weeks, we've lost Mr. Patrick Jaegers and Mr. Brian Rice to suicide. We're pretty sure that's what they both are. Might be wrong, but they're no longer with us.
Yeah, and that's the most important thing. Not necessarily how they did it, but the fact that they're no longer with us. So regardless of how it happened, that's really kind of secondary to the fact that they're gone. You know.
And we've been brainstorming too how to talk about the subject. This one was this is the reason we wanted to, this is why we started having these conversations. Losing guys to mental health and I mean, we're all suffering mentally, you know, there's nothing perfect up here, but the behavior part is the one I'm struggling with.
Yeah.
We're the one we're all struggling with, the one we'll never know to get to that behavior.
Yep. And it's just one of those things. We've all got our issues that we deal with, and as much as you might know somebody, it seems like you never fully know what's going on inside their head. And I know that's true for me. Just with what I share with my friends and my family, my close people in my circle. We talk about a lot, but do they hear about everything? No. And I think the important thing is just to not, in talking about this topic and the subject of, loss and losing people that are important or close to you in your life. And even if it's someone maybe that was close to you a long time ago and you maybe strayed, away or apart just because of life and family and kids and, whatever direction you might take. And it's something kind of, as you were mentioning and talking to a friend of ours, it's, that knew Brian really well, is just, his message was just communication, communication. And that reminded me when you brought that up before we started today, that it reminded me what Father Doyle always preached to me and my group of friends, that was also his group of friends, is, anytime we'd meet with Father Doyle and have breakfast or play racquetball and then have breakfast or whatever we were doing that day, his message was always very clear and it was always very much the same. And he'd always ask, how are your friends? How's Matt? How's Danny? How are all these guys doing? It's like, well, I think they're doing okay. We don't get to see each other much. Just we're all busy. We got kids and they got families and they got kids and, I'm doing my thing. And, it's easy to make excuses and say that you're busy, but he would always stop us right then and there. He's like, that's not acceptable. Like, you need to, these are the people that are going to be closest to you forever. Mm-hmm. So you need to be in touch with them. See how they're doing. See how their kids are doing. See how the wife's doing. Hang out with them. Do whatever you need to do. And since Father Doyle passed, that's one of the big things we've been trying to do. Just me and my, small group of friends from high school and the people that interact with Father Doyle, alongside me in high school and after high school and literally all the way up until his passing. So that's one of the things that in his memory we try and do on a monthly basis is we send out a group text to everybody. Hey, anybody available for lunch this week? And we'll work on always trying to get us together. And not everybody makes it every time, but, we do that every month. And, whether we get to see everybody from month to month or not, we make it a point, an effort to make sure we get to check in with everybody, at least once a month. There's other buddies I hang out with, maybe grab lunch twice a month with, or maybe grab a coffee with, throughout the month. But, just thinking about what would Father Doyle want us to do now that he's gone. He would want us to keep that group of friends just as close as it was whenever Father Doyle was here. So yeah, there's been lots of other things kicked around, and we should do a Father Doyle 5K memorial run, and it's like, when have you ever seen Father Doyle run? Does that sound like something he would be like, yeah, let's do that. That's exactly what I want you guys to do. Like, maybe not, or, more fitting would probably be like doing an annual racquetball tournament since he was Mr. Racquetball,
Okay.
So again, we're still working with our large group of people that were there with Father at the end, all ages, older, younger than us, but just people that played racquetball, and he had an impact too his whole life. So, it's just one of those things. We just, to honor his memory, we try and make sure we keep our friends close. and that's communication. That's talking about uncomfortable stuff, talking about what's got us out of whack or what's bothering us or what's troubling us or whatever it is. And it's not like we're doing all this looking for my buddies that are sitting around the table with me to have the answers, but just to get it off our chest, just to kick the ideas around amongst like-minded people that are all friends that, I don't know about your friends, but my close ones, they know the best and the worst about me, and vice versa. I know the same about them, and we don't judge each other. We all messed up, and we've made lots of mistakes. We've all done stupid things, and we don't hold that against anybody, but we kind of use it as like a superpower that the more we can talk about and the more we know about each other, the less there is to be worried about or nervous about bringing up. If there's a subject that is tough, maybe you have had some suicidal ideations, or maybe you have thought about, some self-harm in different ways. Just the closer you're tight-knit with those people that you trust, those people in your foxhole, it's just, you're going to be more inclined to open up and actually talk as opposed to just, keeping that discussion in between your ears.
Yeah. And it's hard finding, we repeat ourselves with our community and your group, but you don't have to trust a large group of people.
No.
It could just be anybody, just one person to trust to be vulnerable with. And I think that's where therapy, those are great aids and help, because you're paying them to trust them immediately and get to be vulnerable with them.
Yeah, and I've had one therapist, in my lifetime in terms of actual experience with that. So I can only speak to the experience I've had with the one therapist. I don't know if they're all like this. I would hope so, but my therapist, her big thing was she didn't really do a lot of talking. She'd ask a couple basic questions, and then she would just let me unload all of that stuff, because it's not like it's something I had never thought of before. It's stuff I think about all the time. And usually whenever she would ask these questions, and as I was kind of talking to her about it or talking through it with her, I would answer my own questions just by speaking verbally out loud, and then I'd get done talking, and it'd be one of those things like, now notice that you mentioned this, this, and this. Like, do you think is that like what your gut's telling you? I'm like, well, after saying it out loud, yeah, it does, So, I think it's just one of those things of, we have a good idea of what the answer may or may not be. We just almost need that verification that, Matt, these are normal thoughts that people have. Like, just because you think they're crazy or insane or psychotic or whatever, like, that doesn't make it right, wrong, or indifferent. That's just how your brain works, and they're all of our brains work differently, but more times than not, a lot of the same thoughts that we're all kicking around, that we're all kind of embarrassed or maybe ashamed to verbalize, we're usually all dealing with something similar, males to males, females to females, or maybe, husbands and wife. I'm sure you guys have similar frustrations, but maybe just in different ways,
Oh yeah, and they're able to be in groups and have the top females will just say that's just how we were raised. It's easier for females to get their feelings out when we're supposed to be the tough guys.
Yeah, not show emotion, not cry.
Not cry, and we apologize to our ladies, our females. We had baby boomer dads who were very stubborn
and strict and very. They wanted things done a certain way.
Yep. And then
this was back in the day when there wasn't a lot of negotiating those terms. It was usually you're being told, no response, no talking back, head down, go do the job.
Not everybody's parents were like that way, but it's the majority, and that's what we got to see growing up. So we apologize to our friends, family, spouses, girlfriends, whatever, for our stubbornness, but it's something that I think as a man, males, you're able to work. You can work that. You can work with that. You don't have to have we're not perfect.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is, like, for the ladies out there that don't grasp that or understand that, why can't you just change your thinking or change, like, what if I told you personally to your face that I don't care if you cry or if you're emotional or this and that? It's like, well, yeah, at 40, trying to reprogram how you've been brought up this whole time up until this point, it's going to be a challenge, because we always tend to revert back to that initial setting that we have, on the auto programming. So, when you've been raised a certain way, not to talk back, not to cry, not to show emotion, just put your head down, do the work, don't complain.
Be a man. That's what we heard. That's a man.
That's still, I still have to fight those thoughts, on a daily basis. And It's not that I want to, it's just that's where my tendencies turn me to. So, just in lieu of like the therapy I've been through, the sobriety I've been through, and just the work it took in between the first day till this day, I've had to basically re-figure out who I was, and that's asking some tough questions and going down some deep rabbit holes. And I've told this before, but there's been days in the more recent years that I've just get overwhelmed with emotion sometimes. The next thing you know, I'm crying for no reason, and before I'd beat myself up internally, just calling myself all the names in the book about how weak I was and how soft I was and this and that. But nowadays I don't fight trying to hold those emotions back, whether it be tears or joy or whatever, because I've held those back for such a long time. Like my body and my mind are still trying to kind of rework the wiring of just being brought up the way I was for as long as I was. And it's just one of those things. And it's hard, it's weird, because after I do have those little episodes, and it's maybe 5-10 minutes most, or maybe it's just a couple minutes or just a wave just for 60 seconds, like what is going on here? And there's some tears or whatever emotions coming out. I feel better when I'm done, if that's a 5-minute stint or a 60-second little, what was that, usually it's just your body trying to release or get rid of something, that
it's a sign. It's just take a deep breath, let it out.
Well, it's almost like, okay, we're just going to keep testing the waters and see, are you going to be able to let those emotions out today, or are you going to keep bottling them in, at least that's
that example of holding a glass of water, and you just keep filling it and filling it and filling it, and you're just holding on to it, and you're never letting it out or letting it go, or just putting it down and let it out. That kind of takes us into this. We were trying to bring I was telling Matt, a bunch of quotes have been coming up, but this is a proverb, and it says, "An anxious heart weighs a man down, but a kind word cheers him up." And I think that just boils down to how simple we as men are, that we don't experience this. Everybody experiences anxiety, but in a man's brain, in a man's head, and sometimes you get to your 40s and we're in our 40s now. It's like, have I accomplished what I'm supposed to be? And when you're just, all the pressures that's been put on us throughout all these decades. I chose to be in business, and I was supposed to be a millionaire by 24, according to these Instagram kids that weren't even alive when Instagram was created or Facebook was created. Do I have the mansions and the lake houses, and all that pressure gets put on just because we're in business? But it's like, no, I have my, of course I train myself, and I'm continue to be anxious, but not as bad, because I am still chasing my principles daily and just following it, or it comes from love, and what we really practice up at our office is just really genuinely helping people out. That's our principle. Like, do you need a house, invest in property, make money, whatever, but let's start with like the angle of here's how we can help you.
Right.
Tell us what you're looking for, here's how we can help you. But an anxious heart weighs the man down. What does anxiety do to you?
Oh, it usually means I need to go run.
Go run.
Or work out.
And then, depending on that anxiety or stress, how many miles?
Yeah.
It dictates your miles.
Depends how loud the volume's turned up on that day. So, yeah, it's just different every day. I mean, there's days where it's a lot, and there's days where it doesn't need to be as much. But, one thing I have noticed is I don't, as much as I still run long distances and do all that stuff, it's, it's one of those things where I feel like even though I still do it, the physical and mental requirements of me needing to run 18 miles a day, 13 miles a day, 10 miles a day, I don't feel like that minimum bar to entry is not that 18 miles anymore, where that used to be recommended every day for me to keep my shit together, and that doesn't make a lot of sense to people, but that was the only thing I could do where I'd get done and my brain was quiet, where I had some peace. So I just kept doing that because that's what was working, and it didn't put me in a padded room or didn't put me on, Prozac or anything that some people might be doing. But yeah, so I mean, the way I think of it as, just with that quote and how you mentioned it, was just, as guys, or at least from my standpoint as a man, I don't need a lot in life. I need a roof over my head. I got a dog that loves me, and I got a family that loves me and supports me, that I love and support back. I got my close group of friends that I keep close. We talk every day, or we're getting together for lunch once a month, or maybe more often. And outside of that, like that's the difference in how I look at life today at 40 as opposed to at 34 whenever I was still out drinking. Is that I had my priorities all mixed up in the terms of like what I thought was making it. Nowadays, this is how I look at making it. So two completely opposite sides of the spectrum of what I thought I needed to do as a man and as a, whatever, to try and succeed and be successful and win at life. I thought it was all based on material stuff, and turns out that's not true for me, and I love the fact that I'm okay with that today, because it was like before, I would just be chasing this invisible dragon that didn't exist, but everyone tells you got to have the house, and you got to have the new car, and you got to have the lake house and the this and that and all the toys, but all that led me just down to a path of nowhere, where I was empty and lost and didn't know who I was, and today I have a pretty good idea who I am and what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. And, knowing that you have that purpose and it's not based around dollar signs and luxury items, it's put me at a peace that I really can't really describe. It's just a sense of just peace. I don't have those daily worries I used to have before all the time. And, I think alcohol was my outlet to try and, relieve the fact that I wasn't meeting those goals that I thought I needed to be doing as a 20-year-old, as a 30-year-old, and seems like the harder I was trying, the more I was just messing up and kept drinking more and then getting in more trouble with the law. And, so it was just a dog chasing its tail, just round and round, same routine over and over again. Again, that's that definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over, trying to find a different result. So for today, for me, like, I just love spending time with good people. I love hearing new people that I haven't met before. I love hearing their story, because now it's like, how did you get to where you're at? I want to hear your story. Why would you want to hear that? Because I'm intrigued. I want to know what got you to this point. Where were your high points?
This moment in our lives.
Where were your low points? So for me, I look at that value of wealth, and I know we've had podcasts on it before, wealth and riches. My definition of that's a lot different today. And I'm very happy that I have a new definition of what being happy is. It's not about chasing that next dollar. It's not about chasing that next whatever. It's just about being happy and being content with who I am, and that doesn't mean, so you're not going to run anymore. You're not going to do all your stuff that you do. No. Those are daily. That's like taking my daily medicine. Okay. I do it every single day. And, just going through that pursuit nowadays, it's really helped me kind of unlock my true potential, and I know I'm nowhere even close to it yet, but that's kind of the drug that I'm chasing now, is just to try and be the best version of myself each and every day. And it doesn't work every day. It doesn't happen every day. I don't check that box every day, but
you try.
Just the fact that it's in the forefront of my head, so that way when something doesn't go my way, or say something, say we're supposed to shoot a podcast and you got 2 closings yesterday that you had pop up, I could freak out and lose my shit and go crazy, but why? What's the benefit of that? So just knowing that if I go down this bad path and let my anger and my short fuse take over, it sends me down a path that's not great. So anytime I feel those feelings kind of creeping up, I have that auto set in there where it's like, snap out of it, look over here, and just look up and to the right, up and to the right.
Thank you for not getting mad at me.
That was just an example. I wasn't mad. But
we pivot. That's
like
how we get along.
Like little things.
It used to be triggers, right?
Well, because for me, like in early sobriety, and I had this conversation with a client the other day, even after like my first year of sobriety, everyone's like, oh, you're doing so great. I can't believe it. You're doing all this great stuff and this and that. And it's like, I'm glad that you think so, but I struggle every day, even today. And it's not just a little hiccup here and there. There can be full-on meltdowns because I'm still having to reprogram my brain, my thought, my behavior patterns, because it always would resort back to what I would do whenever I was drinking, short fuse, get mad, get angry, you lose a friend, you lose a family member, you know, you just drank the feelings away because that's part of just that programming that we had since a very young age, just not knowing how to fully express emotions and feelings and that sort of thing. And that was where I struggled a lot, was just figuring out how to do that in a healthy way, you know, and by doing the stuff I do now, I feel like I do that so much easier. You know, I don't have to fight, or it's not that, you know, that two-face where you're just one side of you is telling you to do this and the other side is telling you to do that. You know, I can appreciate and take that breath and just be present with the moment that I'm at and just go through the checklist. Like, okay, this didn't go our way. What can we do to fix it? How about tomorrow? Perfect. What time? Got it. Perfect. Here we are. It's Thursday. We're shooting our pod. Was there any reason to get upset about it if it wasn't going to be yesterday at 10? No. You know, so again, that's all just in perspective of how I just approach things nowadays versus how I used to approach things, you know.
And I like what you said too, is keeping it simple. And that's the second part of this, like, but a kind word cheers him up.
Yeah.
We are, men just complicate it so much. I think human beings just complicate it so much, or we're just, simple as just a nice hug, just simple, a nice compliment, or God, I mean, how much more simple? Like
it does. I mean, honestly, ladies out there that are listening, like, it doesn't take much. Like, you know, maybe it's maybe if you just go up to a guy at work that you're, you know, a coworker or something, where it's like, hey, you know, have you started working out or losing some weight? Like, you look like you're making some changes, and it looks like you're doing great. Like, something as simple as that for someone maybe that's struggled with their weight or struggled with, you know, getting on a workout routine and making it a month and then quitting. And then next year on January, they do it for a month, and that's the cycle they go through. And they just, maybe that's an internal battle that they have year round, you know? So maybe when that person at work comes up and gives you that compliment, like, you know what? I'm going to make it past January this year. You know what? I'm going to work out into February. And then next thing you know, they're working out.
Momentum.
Yeah, and just keep that momentum going. So, I mean, again, ladies, if you think it's got to be a surprise Ferrari with a bow on top as you open the garage doors here, it'd be nice, but it's not necessary. Like, we're very simple people. We don't need a lot of oohs and ahs and surprises and this and that. Just the occasional, hey, keep up the good work. I'm proud of you, babe, you know, or whatever it is.
And a lot of the research, kind of what I've been doing in the last few years for mental health and men health, is we really don't care about being heard. I mean, it helps. We really don't care about talking, or because when men we don't talk, we'd rather sit next to each other and drive a golf cart, or just sit and not do anything. And, you know, like
watch the football game.
Yeah, just sit next to each other. Yeah, with the buds. But we don't take holding us and loving us away from us. We were having this discussion yesterday.
Yep.
When my mom comes over to my house, I still immediately just, like a little puppy, like a little lap dog, I jump on her lap and she just rubs my head, and I'm just like,
at peace.
At peace, at heaven. It takes me back to day 1, day 2, day 3. You know, that's all that loving I have. And Stacy, my wife, knows that's all I need. As soon as I get home as a dad, when I hear daddy and then they're racing to hug me, complete.
Game over.
You know, I'm theirs. I'm theirs. And of course I've worked and I've been present for them to be received that way every day. But it has been hard and it's stressful and all that. But we hold your men, and like even us men with my crew, like we hug. We don't, there's not high-fiving. There's a guy up in the front, one of our agents. We've had to teach him how to hug and be physical, because it's like, no, like he didn't grow up that way, you know. Now he's doing the hugging, but just a hug goes a long way. Men hug each other. However, I mean, I don't mean it in a bad way or a negative way. Just like we do need females. We do need our moms. We were raised by our moms, you know, and those that do have a female are another person. A significant other, just start with the holding and loving that person, and then maybe they'll talk. Then maybe they'll open up. You know, because we won't open up just right away. Like, hey, what's wrong?
Yeah.
Hey, tell me what's wrong. You look pissed off today. What's wrong? That pisses us off even more.
Absolutely.
Like, so you mean I look ugly because I'm pissed and I have a terrible look on my face. Like, not a good way to start a conversation.
Yeah, no, that's it's actually kind of ironic that this is kind of coming up the way it is, because I was watching or listening to the Pat McAfee show yesterday, and sports show for those of you that don't know on ESPN and YouTube. But they had, so this is the cast that they had, and this is the conversation that was being said, and these are all Hall of Fame, the best, most manliest men you'll ever hear talk, or some of them. But so at the end of like every hour segment, Pat McAfee always has the sign off where he says, "Be a friend, tell a friend something nice that might save their life or might change their life." And that's what he rattles off at the end of the first hour, the second hour, the third hour. So anyways, Wednesday, they have JJ Watt. They call it Watt Wednesdays.
Okay.
So he was on, and JJ was talking whenever they were having one of their breaks. So they have like a countdown, 10, 9, 8. So he sees that. So he's like, he's going to do the sign off for Pat that day. And he said, and it was getting close, like 3, 2, and he was like, be a friend, tell a friend that you love him. So he kind of like, he was rushed, but he was trying to spit it out. And but anyway, so like then they went to break. And that's when they go from like ESPN, where they're only on YouTube after that. So they go off of network, but they're still live. But anyways, they're like, "What was that, JJ?" And he's like, I butchered it. I got nervous. I rushed it, and I messed it all up. He said, "Well, we like what you said. Like, what did you say? Like, just slow it down." He's like, "I said, be a friend, tell a friend that you love them. It could save their life." And he's like, "That sounds pretty good. Like, you kind of took what I said and you put a little spin on it." He's like, "Yeah, I know.
It worked out perfect.
I butchered it, man. I messed it all up." He's like, "No." He's like, "I think that's a good point." He's like, "Hey, we're all men here, right? Hey, JJ, I love you, man." And then all of them were just going around saying they love him. So again, it's like, there's nothing wrong with a man telling another man that he loves him. Like, I tell that to my circle all the time. Like, we hug, we get up close and personal. We're not doing the weird, awkward ass out hug. We mean it, and we come in there and we're telling them, if you need anything, I'm here. And I mean that with all my heart. Like, if there's a call at 2 a.m, all right, where do you need me? Your house, where are we going? You at the fire station? What do we need to do? So that was just a message that it kind of resonated with me. And then we were talking a little bit about that last night. And so I made sure I wanted to mention that today. But if you've got J.J. Watt, A.J. Hawk, Pat McAfee, Darius Butler, like the most manliest men in NFL history, like, I think if they can say they love it to another man, or I love you to another man, so can we. So can the average man. So can the non-athletic man. So can the nerdy man. You know what I mean? It doesn't have, like, we have all the emotions that we need inside of us. We just got to be brave enough or strong enough to express those. And I think for guys, that's what holds us up a lot. We don't want to be looked on as soft or looked down on as weak or emotional or whatever, just because we've got that connotation in our upbringing that every time you want to do that, it's like your dad's in the back of your head, or whoever your football coach or your wrestling coach that didn't want you crying or showing emotion. I mean, it wasn't just from the home life we heard that. That was from every coach I ever had. That was from every, you just weren't supposed to do it. You're not supposed to cry. You're not supposed to show emotion. You're not supposed to get frantic. So I don't know. I think that's a message that we all need to take a little bit deeper into consideration. And if there's a reason why you can't say that to another man, maybe you need to do some internal reflection and see what's going on. Why is that? Is there something in your past that you need to work through? Because we've all got stuff from our past we need to address. None of us can make it out perfect. We've all got things we need to dial in and tune up a little bit.
Yeah. And it's something that person might have never heard their entire life, or seen their parents say "I love you" to each other, or seen their parents hug and kiss each other goodbye. We are very affectionate at home when the kids are now like, ew, yuck, da da da. But it's like, trust me, like,
they need to see that, so they know when they get to that age and they have their wife or husband and kids.
Your significant other, when they leave, you love them. When they come back, you love them, even though the day got in the way of all that. And I just wrote this down that being happy is not expensive, but love is not expensive. Like just saying it to someone, it doesn't take that much. We get to go to lunches now, and still it's a camaraderie of men, all ages, and it's like, man, love you, thank you for being here, love you, thank you for giving us the time.
Yeah.
You know, and it's up to us to save ourselves, because nobody's coming to save you. I think that's a big quote, that once you realize that in our business world or in business, that's a big quote, that nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's gonna come and give you commissions. Nobody's gonna come and fake workouts for you and just pay you.
Yeah.
You know, it's nobody's coming to save you. We got to save ourselves. But it's very simple, like Matt said. One quote I said to all my buddies the other day, since you're not on social media, you don't get it no more.
Sure
But
do.
it was a quote that said, the first time a man receives flowers is at his funeral. You know, and then we have a visitation to go to today, and it's you'll see all the flowers there, and throughout, because we're hard, man. We're hard. You know, like, we don't receive flowers throughout our years, and I surprise my wife with flowers, because I'd like seeing the colors there, and I like surprising with her. But females expect them. Females are supposed to get them. You know, so even if it's just bring a guy a cookie, or give Matt a Twix.
After the 45-minute workout and the 45-minute outside workout.
After 75 hard next year. But it's just the little signs of love that we as men, it's a jolt, you know. It's like a shock to our system, our anxious, stressed brains.
Well, I think kind of just piggybacking off of what you're saying there. It's for guys. It seems like we need those little things to keep us going. We don't need the big extravagant surprise parties or the congratulations or the this or the that. We need the affection from the wife, you know, putting her hand around the husband whenever he gets home from work and giving him the kiss and then giving him the long hug, you know, and the kids running up to you just fighting to see who gets to hug dad first. You know,
well, they know there's a prize involved.
Yeah, so I mean, it's one of those things, like, those are the little things that men appreciate the most. You know, it's not a big extravagant present or a big, you know, like I said, a Ferrari or a brand new truck or a brand new house or whatever, because usually those things mean more debt or more work or what it's going to take to pay for those gifts and those things. Like, guys usually have enough problems. Another toy or another expense or another thing you got to insure or another thing that could have a whole list of problems 5 days from now once you've gotten it. You know, so those little things, you know, the affection, the compliment, the small little, you know, the small little things, that's the things we appreciate the most, you know, or at least that I appreciate the most.
Yeah.
So just those little things that someone goes out of their way to do something for you that they didn't need to do. You know, I had a client last week bring me some salmon. She had some fresh salmon that she had that way too much for them. So she's like, hey, do you like salmon? I said, oh, yeah, absolutely. She's like, well, I'm going to bring you some in next week. I said, well, I appreciate that, but I can't let you get away with that without me giving you something in return. She's like, oh, I don't, no, I don't want anything. I was like, how about some farm fresh eggs? You got a deal, you know? But what was the transaction there? It was nothing expensive. It wasn't anything that was breaking our banks. It was just one person offering that to me, which I appreciate, and in return, I show her the appreciation by giving her something in return. No money exchanged, couple salmon fillets for 12 eggs. Like, but guess what? That made my day. You know, the fact that she thought about me, asked if I'd be interested or if I wanted any of it.
Yeah.
You know, so those are the little things I'm talking about. Nothing extravagant, but just, hey, I was thinking about you the other day. You were? Oh, that makes me feel good. And it's always a little bit different. Like, Gerardo's got his family and his wife and all that. I don't, but again, my clients are kind of my family. Like, it's everybody under this building is kind of my family. So again, those are the things I look for. You know, it's not, you know, not the spouse, not the girlfriend or whatever. It's those people that I interact with on a daily basis that I get excited when I know that I'm going to see them at 4:30 today. Whenever I get excited that Monday's coming because I know I have this group coming in at 5, you know, just because we have a good time together. We open up. If we got something bothering us, we usually get it off our chest, and, you know, we've got other people around here that deal with similar stuff, both from a guy perspective, a female perspective. So, again, it's just kind of an open community that we just have here, like a village that just everybody's contributing to help keep this village moving. You know?
And we're all on our own journeys.
Yeah.
You know, the Alchemist. The Alchemist, if you haven't read that book, it's just all about the journey and the things that happen along the way, who you get to see that day, who you get to smile and hug with that day. And I know we're asking a lot from the counterpart of the other person, but fellas, man, it's both ways.
Yeah.
Females also that I would never spend a day in a woman's brain. I would be like, oh my God, why do you hate yourself so bad? You're like, you're incredible, you're beautiful, you're superhuman. But it goes both ways, you know.
Yeah.
Like we need a little bit of love, a tiny bit of affection, and that would make an entire day for us. And women are the same too. They little things, even though they won't believe it, because they're all in their own head. But that's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, well, but it does remind me though, because it's something we've talked about before. Is whenever, us guys, we like to fix problems. We like to solve, make solutions and solve this and fix this, especially for those that you love. Your wife, your kids, whatever. And it's kind of like what we were talking. You came home one day and Stacy was just unloading on you just about whatever was going on, and you're like, all right, let's get this pen and paper. We'll get the diagram. We'll get the charts out. Let me get this, and let me get the projector.
I have a
pulled down.
formula for this.
I got a PowerPoint for this, and she's like, hey, I don't want to hear anything you have to say. I want you to sit there and listen to me unload to you. I'm not looking for a solution.
Yeah.
I'm needing to get this off my chest. So all I need you to do is listen. So that was one of those things for me, like, oh man, like, yeah, that's just what they want.
Therapists get paid for that.
Yeah, and all you got to do is all
Huge
us
cheat
guys
code,
have
gentlemen.
to do is sit here and listen, and we're just, I can fix this 2 seconds.
Yeah. Or who do I need to go beat up?
They don't want to hear that. They
No.
want you to just listen. They want you to pay attention, not sitting there listening while you're scrolling through your phone or you're playing with your watch. Or they want your undivided attention for those 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, however long it is. But how much does that cost? How expensive is that? It's your time, it's your attention to the one that you say you love. And I don't know, just hearing you tell me that story however many months ago, it was just kind of, because I've never looked at it really like that either. I would have been the same as you, like, all right, I'm going to go get the shovel. I'm going to go, I'm going to go make sure we got all this stuff ready so we can fix this problem. Like, hey, I don't want it fixed. I just want you to hear me.
And like you said, the answer's in here. We have it. I'm practicing this now with my 12-year-old daughter, 12 and a half. She'll be 13 here in a little bit. And it's learning your friend groups and being a teenager, and especially girls, like 2 girls is great, 3 is war, because there's just 3 is not an even number. It just doesn't work. And 4, forget about it. But I know exactly what's best for her at that age and what's going on, but I forget about what I say. I'm dumb if I dare speak up, so I let her just let it all out, think about it. And I told her this morning, don't forget to be nice to yourself. Like you're choosing to be nice to everybody and get a want from everybody. And they're planning their Christmas presents and she's going to be extravagant. And my daughter knows she's not going to get anything maybe from them. She knows it, but I reminded her, don't forget to be nice to yourself. Yeah. Because that's what really matters the most out of this.
Man,
person.
I wish I would have heard that more growing up too. That was part of my downfall. Is I was trying to make everybody else happy except myself, and I was the one that lost. In that battle.
And it doesn't get trained to us. The school's not made for that.
No.
And how soon should we teach our children all that or anything? But just remind them. Don't forget to be nice to yourselves. Man, don't forget to be nice to yourself still to this day.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, and myself too. Because I beat up myself a lot when, as a broker, being compared to other brokers, where they're at and millions of years and 800 sales a year. And it's like, dude, I can leave my office at any time and everything still works.
Yeah.
I could be at the assembly. I could be present at the assembly. My phone's on silent now because, 80% of the phone calls are spam now anyways.
Yeah, I know, same here.
But my phone is on silent now and my clients know, like, he'll get it done. I have built that, and it's taken everything to build kind of that business. But I'm present. I'm relaxed. I'm not a bajillionaire, and I'm not driving a Ferrari.
Yeah.
Been buying the toys, and I asked myself, what advice would I give myself now in my 20s? Mm-hmm. I was thinking about this the other day, and it's like, my advice I would give myself in my 20s is when you get to 40, don't spend all your money in your 40s. The 40s is the time where you keep it simple.
Start putting some stuff away.
Keep it simple. Aside. You've done the expensive things. You've got to be in the groups. You got to shake hands with those people. You've been in the in crowd. You've been parking with the boats. I wanted to be in the boat crowd and be looked at like, man, that guy got that boat. And no, it doesn't work that way. They don't care.
Yeah.
They didn't even ask about the boat. You know, we just talked and had a genuine conversation and changed. And it was life changing. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and we can kind of wrap up on this one, but just something else to think about, like, you know, like Gerardo said, I'm not on social media anymore, and it's been, a couple months now, maybe almost, somewhere around there, and, like, I don't even miss it. Like, I don't. And, you know, the things I've realized is that there's some people that don't need to be on social media. Like, it's not a requirement that you have to be on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok.
Don't make it
Twitter,
a requirement.
This, that, like... If you're gonna lose your shit over someone commenting on a post or a photo, or like, get away. Like, what are you doing to yourself? You know, and it's one of those things where, you know, if you're constantly comparing yourself to every other broker in the United States or in the world, and you see like the top 1% of how they're living and how they're driving all these cars and, you know, on yachts and on a helicopter going to another yacht, like, maybe you need to take a break from that stuff, because if it's not healthy for you and it's only making your life worse, like, why? It's like watching a car accident over and over and over and over. If that's not going to help you, why are you still watching it? You know, and that's the point I got to. It just wasn't healthy for me. Like, I wasn't getting off of it feeling better. I wasn't getting off of it feeling like I learned anything. I wasn't getting off of it enlightened with whatever it is you could be enlightened with on the social medias, but. You know, I think it's just important for some people. They feel like they have to be on it, you know, and guess what? It's optional. You know, I heard somebody say that the other day, like, somebody went on this huge rant and they made a video and a post, and, you know, it's like, this person was so strung out, and like, she's basically having a full-on meltdown on a video post, and it's like, get off, like, stay away. If you can't handle criticism from potentially a random bot out of Russia that you have no idea if this is a real person you're interacting with, like, they're wrecking your day and potentially your life, your week, your, you know, whatever it is, your momentum.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just a reminder, like, it's kind of like alcohol. I can't do it, and that's fine. But that doesn't mean I'm going to be thinking one day that that's okay. You know I can't go back to it because it almost killed me the last time. And if I go back, I'm sure it'll only do just that again, you know? And, you know, so I kind of look at it the same way as social media. Some people just aren't geared to be on it, and that's okay. And, you know, it wasn't causing me life-changing. I wasn't not coming to work because I was on social media too long, but my quality of life was decreasing every minute I spent on it. You know, there was nothing positive, super negative, or just divisiveness, trying to divide parties or country or whatever it is, guys and girls, like, you name it. There's been some divisive tool that they try and apply to it to keep us at each other's throats, as opposed to giving that person a hug, telling them that you love them, you know? So, I mean, I don't miss it. If you haven't tried it and you're struggling, you know, and you're looking through it and you're just comparing yourself to every other person you see on Instagram or every other person you see on TikTok that's maybe doing better than you are, you know, maybe as soon as they get done posting that video, their rental for the Ferrari is over. Their rental for the 5 minutes they have inside the private jet is over. And meanwhile, you're thinking you have to do all this stuff to try and be like Billy, who's 22 years old and has millions of dollars, and he's never sold anything. He's never ran anything. He's never established a business or a culture or you know, anything along those lines. So I don't know. Don't believe everything you're seeing on the social media, guys. And if it's too much for you, unplug.
My grandma's 92 years old, and she's never been on social media, and she don't miss it.
Good for her.
She never.
Good for her.
We put her on there, you know, keep in touch with families, but
yeah.
To the social media point, it's just noise. TV was bad enough back when our parents were growing up and being programmed for that, and now it's just attached to kids.
Every device we have.
It's attached to kids and children.
Every device we have.
Yep. But use it for positivity. That's what we're here for. We wanted to try to be as impactful as much as we can. We're going to keep trying.
Yeah. Well, and that's, you know, just to kind of compare back to the drinking thing, like, there's some people that can have a couple drinks and they're completely responsible and in control of their life. I'm not that person, you know? So it's not like it's what's wrong with me? Why can he do it and I can't? I don't have to ask that question anymore. I just know I can't, and that's okay. I don't have to wonder why, or in 6 months or a year am I going to be able to go back. Like, I know the answer is always going to be no, you know, and that puts me at peace because I have a definitive answer. I already know what the answer is. I don't have to think about it or judge. You know, so that social media is the exact same thing. Some people can do it and manage it fine. Others can't, you know, and if you're one of those that can't, unplug and just take some time. And you'd be surprised after a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, how much better your insides feel. Your anxiety levels are down. Your stress levels are down. You're not depressed all the time. You're not constantly, you know, having to look to see what
I have no views. I have no likes.
Exactly.
I have no. This was my best post ever. We were looking at to add into this real quick. We were looking at our performances on Facebook, and my top 2 out of the last 6 months are a post when I was proposed, a repost of when I proposed to Stacy 16, 15 years ago, and the second one was something with Stacy. So Stacy is my
turns out she's what you need.
golden
to be
nugget, not
more
real
of.
estate, not
the boat,
CEO,
not even the boat.
not the boat.
What?
Stacy is
Oh,
the.
it's probably that. I bet that truck though. I bet that truck gets a lot of clicks.
No,
right?
that one had like 20 likes, and Stacy had 9,000 views and interactions and all that stuff. So, goes to show, we don't really need. That doesn't make you any much better. Being a human being is all you need to be.
Yeah. Yep.
And go say something kind to somebody today. Go hold that person. We do have that visitation today. I hate that these things happen to get everybody together. But if we don't have to wait for these events, just start getting together. Just start getting together.
Be a friend. Tell a friend you love them. You might save their life.
We love you guys. Thank you for watching. Love
Peace
you, Matt.
out.
Appreciate
Love you,
this.
Well,
Thanks
I guess
for
we should practice
watching.
what we preach, right?
Oh, yeah.
Love you, brother.
Love you, brother.
Peace, guys.
Adios.